Hello, YouTube. How's everybody doing? I got my volume down on my radio because I don't need to have any restrictions going on right now. Anyways, it is a wonderful morning to be alive. I mean, every day you wake up not dead, it's clearly a good day. Anyways, it's Wednesday. I think it's June 26th, if I'm not mistaken. And the weather couldn't be more perfect, at least in my opinion. Now, everybody's going to have their different feelings when it comes to how they think the weather should look or whatever it is, or some people prefer it hot. I prefer to be cold. It feels honestly like it's um, a fall morning. Now it is supposed to go up to like 23 or 24, so it'll warm up, I guarantee, and then I can eventually lose this jacket. But it's a nice, comfy jacket, so I'm rocking this for now. Anyways, that's my 1 minute intro into this live. Not that anyone's tuning in, but maybe somebody will at some point. So what I want to do right now, I know I've said this in my last video, I want to talk about football a little bit more often, and I'm sure at some point in the future, maybe next week, I'll be uploading more videos. I actually just figured out how I can screen record on this phone. It was bugging me for the longest time, but I finally figured it out. So because I kept swiping down to get all the different options that you normally would have, and nothing happened. So I did it flukingly. I swiped down twice, and then all of a sudden I had the option right there. So I was just like, oh, that's fantastic. That's really cool. So I'll definitely be going back and doing more of those, which I loved because I seem to get more views doing it that way. So I definitely am going to consider doing that again. But with that being said, now I'm going to switch over to what I wanted to say and what I want to talk about, and that is the upcoming 2025-2026 or 2025-26 NFL season. So we're still 2 months away from regular season. Training camps going on right now. They will have exhibition games, preseason games, I guess you want to call them, starting in August. Those games don't mean squat. Like, you can play 3 games, 5 games, because they always have the Hall of Fame game. Whenever they make the announcement for the Hall of Fame, they always have an exhibition game between 2 teams. But those games don't mean squat. You could go 0-4 in the preseason. That doesn't mean shit. It doesn't. You go 4-0 in the preseason. That doesn't mean squat because the games don't count for anything. I remember Baltimore, they had, I think it was, I'm probably going to get this incorrect, but I know it's roughly, I think it was like a decade-long streak where they didn't lose any preseason games. And I was like, that's a cool record to own or to have, but again, doesn't matter if you're 4-0 at the end of preseason. That doesn't mean squat. The regular season's when it really counts. So it's nice to win games in the preseason, but you got to think like half those guys are going to be getting cut once they get down to like the 53-man roster for the beginning of the season. So I never really cared too much for preseason. I don't really pay attention to it because again, it doesn't mean anything to me. It's just a bunch of guys that are like third and fourth string people, because teams also have to put in a lot of backups. They put in a lot of backups. And there's a good chance by the time the third or fourth preseason game is underway, you could be cut from that team, unless you're like a guaranteed starter for that squad. So I've never been too keen on preseason games. They don't mean squat to me. The regular season's when it really counts. Now, I'm just going to make a little bit of a bold prediction for each team of the division. I will do my previews in August, like I've said in my last video, but I just want to do a quick little preview of what I think the outcome is likely going to happen for each team in the divisions. Now, I'm not going to make a Super Bowl prediction right now because it's way too early, and injuries can definitely play a factor, and some teams can go on a hot streak, other teams can go on a cold streak. So, yeah, I'm not going to say who I think is going to win the Super Bowl, especially in June. I'm sure KC and Philly would probably be the favorites since they just played in the Super Bowl, but there are a lot of changes in the offseason for both teams. So I think KC is probably still going to be dominant, but yeah, I'm sorry. I don't follow politics. I don't know much about what's happened with Iran or Israel, so I stay away from politics. But I'm going to start with the AFC. I love my team's in the AFC, so of course I'm going to cheer on that conference. So I'll do the AFC East first. The Bills, man, like if you're a Bills fan, I'm sorry for you, but like you can have a great regular season, But if you don't do squat in the playoffs, it's not going to look too good. I think they're still going to be the favorites. Who should I pick in round 1 in fantasy? Well, if you're going for football, you can't go wrong with Mahomes. It kills me to say that every year. I'm looking forward to the day when he is retired or maybe plays on a different team, because I'm so sick of these Chiefs winning like 9 straight division titles. It drives me crazy. But yeah, you can't go wrong with Mahomes. I mean, Lamar Jackson would be another MVP. He won the MVP just 2 seasons ago, twice, if I'm not mistaken. Josh Allen just won it again. So I mean, any of those 3 starting quarterbacks would be great for your fantasy squad. But yeah, for the Bills, I just think they're probably going to get the AFC East again, which would be like their 6th year in a row, if I'm not mistaken, because they won in 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and this upcoming season would be 2026. So yeah, I think they'll win that division again, but as long as the Dolphins can stay healthy, I mean, they could have. 2 years ago, they pushed the Bills to the last game of the season before, unfortunately, they fell in Week 18 to Buffalo. So they could have won that division 2 years ago. Last year was a bit of a up and down year. So, I mean, the Dolphins, I think, of all those teams in the AFC East, could threaten the Bills to possibly push for that number 1 spot. Because I'm looking at the Patriots. I think, yes, they're young, but they're still going to be growing. They're still rebuilding. And the Jets, I don't know what to think about the Jets. I honestly don't. They've been so wishy-washy. They've been trying quarterback after quarterback after quarterback. Nothing's worked. Last time they had a winning season or made the playoffs was in 2011, I think, when they had Mark Sanchez at the helm. So it's been over a decade for the Jets fans to see that. People hate so hard on Tua, and the team is so resilient on him. He's very good. He's a very good quarterback. I'm not dissing Tua at all. I think he's a fantastic quarterback. There's just one factor. I think it was 2 seasons ago. He got concussed in back-to-back games. Concussions are a very serious thing. So I wasn't a fan when they played him in back-to-back games. When he got the first concussion, I thought he should have sat out at least 1 week to let his brain settle and all that other jazz. But they put him back in. He got hurt again. Another concussion. So he's injury prone. But, I mean, as long as he can stay on his feet, he has a decent offensive line, he can produce. I mean, they went to the playoffs a couple of years ago as a wild card team, granted, but they still went to the playoffs a couple of years ago. So he is definitely the franchise quarterback as long as he can stay healthy and avoid any future concussions, because players have retired earlier due to concussions and injuries because they want to be able to prolong their life after football, and I don't blame them. Health is very important when it comes to players and stuff like that. So I think Tua is a fantastic quarterback. As long as he can stay healthy and stay on his feet and doesn't get hurt, the Dolphins will have an above 500 season. And who knows what will happen after that. Yeah, he absolutely does have to take care of himself. I know to some of us it may seem silly, but if you ever watched the games, especially last year where they started playing with those bigger helmets, they used to just wear those just for training camp and practices so the guys wouldn't get hit in the head or have to deal with concussions. But I wouldn't be surprised if that ended up being like a permanent thing moving forward, because it's extra protection for your head. You only have one brain, so it makes sense to protect it as much. As silly as it may look, and I know it may look like a bobblehead doll on the field, but if you're going to have that extra protection around your head, the most important part of like your body, or one of them at least, I wouldn't be surprised if that ended up being a thing, because there were certain players that wore those helmets during games last season. So don't be surprised in the future, because safety just, as every year passes by, safety is going to get that much more important to players and their health. So Dolphins need an O-line. They certainly do, especially if they want to keep their franchise quarterback at bay. And yeah, the AFC West. Okay, so for the AFC West, I mean, I'm a diehard Broncos fan, but I will say this. I guarantee the Chiefs will probably get the division. Chiefs will be number 1. Number 2 and 3, I'll give the number 2 spot to the Chargers because they have the experience as a head coach with John Harbaugh or Jim Harbaugh. I think it's John. Yeah, because Jim is the coach of Baltimore. Then I think the Broncos finish 3rd, and the Vegas Raiders will finish 4th. As much as I would love to see Like the Broncos are a good team. They're still young. They're still developing. They got a fantastic coach in Sean Payton. The only thing is, you're not always guaranteed. Just because you make the playoffs one year doesn't mean you're going to make it back to back. Because unless you get that division crown, you're fighting for one of those 3 wildcard spots. Now, thankfully, there is 3 spots instead of 2, which there used to be only 2 back in the time. But if I had to put my money down on either the Chargers or the Broncos making the playoffs, as much as it's going to kill me to say this, I think the Chargers will be. Again, I think they're still going to finish second in that division, so I would take the Chargers over the Broncos making the playoffs. Justin Herbert has proven he's a very good quarterback. He can be like a top 10 quarterback if he really wants to, and like that offense is very good. So I think it'll be, like I said, Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, and Raiders. If the Broncos do happen to make the playoffs, they'll probably finish again as a 7th seed. I don't see them finishing 5th or 6th because there's just too many good teams in the AFC. And you got to think of the AFC North too. Like I guarantee the Ravens and the Bengals, they're probably both making the playoffs. So that's one wild card spot taken just right there. Do you think the Broncos have the best AFC West defense though? They got a very solid defense. I'm pretty sure they finished in the top 10 last year. I know they finished first in sacks, which was unreal. That like defensive line was just crazy. Nick Benito was a monster. Had a couple of picks as well. I think he had a pick 6 too against the Colts, if I'm not mistaken. That defense is gonna be crazy. Now they've added Green. Who was it? Green from San Francisco. Oh my God. I forget his name already, but they've added a few pieces in the offseason, and I think they're going to be a very dangerous defensive team. Teams are going to struggle, and if you can, because like the whole point of offense is to be able to run and throw the football. If you can't run the ball and you're always throwing it, that's a major disadvantage to your team, or vice versa. If you can't throw the ball because their corners and their linebackers are so good, you're going to have to run the ball the majority of the time, and that can really deflate a team, to say the least. Lost Browning, but it doesn't matter yet. So, it does suck losing Browning, but I think they'll be a pretty good defense. There's no question about it. It's just, can their offense click in year number 2 with Bo Nix? I think he is the future of this franchise, and thank God we finally have a quarterback. I mean, after we won Super Bowl 50, I'll list the quarterbacks that we had. We had Trevor Siemian, we had Paxton Lynch, Brock Osweiler for a second time. I want to say this as a quick little side note. Thing with the free agent Broncos signings is basically all of them have bad injury. That's the problem. And okay, so I want to put a pause on my quarterback talk before I do this. That's actually a very good point, Marcus. Is you sign somebody and they're injury prone, it's a high risk, high reward kind of a deal. You're taking a chance that this person's going to perform great, but if they get hurt, they could miss a good chunk of the season. Doesn't matter if they're on the offense, defense, special teams. Any injury can really hurt a team. So it's always a high risk, high reward whenever it comes to people that are injury prone or have had injuries in the past that have sat them on the sideline more or less for X amount of time off. Anyway, so getting back to my other thing. So since Peyton Manning retired back in 2016, we've had Trevor Siemian, flop. Paxton Lynch only started a couple of games. Indeed, he didn't do anything. Brock Osweiler came back. Now, the thing that bothered me with Osweiler was he was so greedy and so pissed off that he got benched in week 17 in 2015-16 for Peyton Manning. And then obviously everybody knows that Peyton Manning took the reign. Unfortunately, he wasn't the quarterback he used to be, but he was the main guy under center. And the defense ultimately led us to a championship, but he game managed how it went. But if Osweiler had just stuck it out, came back, he would have had the same offensive group he would have had. Gary Kubiak, who was the coach in 2015-16, came back for 2016-17. So he would have had the same coaching that he did the year before, and he would have been guaranteed the starting job, because I guarantee Peyton Manning would have retired no matter what. But then he decided to be greedy. He wanted more money, went to Houston, played one season there. They cut him. They traded him to Cleveland, of all teams, in the 2017 offseason. Then Cleveland didn't want him. And back then, Cleveland was bad. They're not the best now, but man, that was Johnny Manziel kind of time. And if you are so badly needing a quarterback and you refuse to take Osweiler, that goes to say a lot about the quarterback. Anyway, so then he came back to Denver, only played a couple of games. That was a crappy 2017-18 season regardless. Then we signed Case Keenum because we thought he had a miracle season with Minnesota the year before. He did okay, but we still didn't make the playoffs. Then we signed Joe Flacco. It was like just bad signing after bad signing. Like, we struck gold when Peyton Manning became a free agent back in 2012. Since then, like any veteran quarterback we tried to bring in, like John Elway just tried to do the same thing. And it's like that, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We were getting veteran quarterback after veteran quarterback after veteran quarterback, and we were doing the same thing, and nothing changed. We ended up getting our coaches fired, players would leave, trades, whatever it is. So then we had Drew Lock come in. He was drafted in 2020, if I'm not mistaken, or 2019, one of the 2 years. And he seemed like he was going to be okay, but he didn't really pan out. Maybe it was just the offense that we had with, who was the coach at the time? It wasn't Vance Joseph, because Vance Joseph left before Drew Lock came in. Vic Fangio. So maybe he just didn't fit Vic Fangio's offense or whatever it was. And then we brought in Teddy Bridgewater. We were doing okay until the end of the season. Then he got hurt. We missed the playoffs again. Then we brought in Russell Wilson. Oh my God. What a horrible trade. What the fuck? I'm sorry. I don't normally swear when it comes to live, but that was, at the time, I was so happy and so like, oh my God, we finally got a franchise quarterback, not realizing that he was already in his 30s, another veteran quarterback signing that we did. And the worst part about that whole thing was the only way the trade could go through is if we signed Russell Wilson to an extension, then he agreed on the trade. So before even stepping foot on a practice field, let alone a game time, we signed this guy to like $200 million or something ridiculous. And I just never understood that. And it didn't work out. The first season we were crap. The second season we were crap. He got benched for the last game, if I'm not mistaken. And then that was just, oh my God, that set us back so many years. I'm honestly surprised we were as good as we were last year. But thankfully we got Sean Payton. Yes, he did coach Wilson last year, but he knew that that was like a marriage that was destined to fail. So I'm so glad that we finally let him go, but that cap hit killed us for our salary and whatever it is. So that just ruined us. That killed it. And oh my God. So thankfully he's out of our hair, but I think we're still paying one more season, if I'm not mistaken, for his contract. 1 or 2 more years. Because we signed him to like a multi-year contract like 3 years ago. So that was bad. Anyways, so we had, after that season, that was the 23-24 season, then we ended up getting into the draft, and now we finally got Bo Nix. I love the guy. He's definitely going to be a franchise quarterback for us. I'm so excited to have him, and it's crazy to think he's like going to be in his sophomore season, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be 24 or 25. I think he's 24 now, so he should be turning 25 at some point during this season. So it's crazy to think that you get a second-year quarterback. They're normally like 22, 23, just coming out of college. But this guy ended up going to 2 different colleges, stayed an extra couple of years, and I think he's going to be a fantastic quarterback for the future. Who do you think will be starting running back for the Broncos? That's tough. We just signed, oh God, who was it? Was it J.K. Dobbins from the Chargers? He's a pretty good guy. I probably got the name screwed up, but I do remember we did take the running back from the Chargers. So it'll either be him or because we lost who did we lose to Dallas? Who was that? Oh my God. Fuck, who did we lose? Anyways, JK, yeah, so it is J.K. Robbins. Thank you. I think he'll be the starting one, or if not him, then is it Pierce? Because we had 2 running backs, like 2 tandems last year. I think it was Pierce. Oh my God, it's still going to drive me nuts. Who signed with Dallas? Who was our other running back that we had last year? Anyways, that's besides the point. I'm getting all sidetracked now. But yeah, I think he's great, but the reason we moved on was because he couldn't stay healthy, and that cost us the playoffs last year. Yeah, Javonte Williams. Thank you. Yes, thank you. That's who I'm thinking of, Javonte Williams. Now, I knew Williams wasn't going to be like 1,000-yard rusher because he's just like he's built, he's a big guy. But I knew we weren't going to get 1,000 yards rushing. But when they split them between him and Pierce, if I'm not mistaken, I think we did pretty decently on the ground. We could do a lot better. There's no question about it. And the problem is that if you run the ball and you're not gaining enough yards, you're putting more pressure on your quarterback to have to throw for like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, especially if you're not gaining any yards up the middle. So it puts a lot of pressure on your quarterback if you're not able to run the ball. So if you can kind of split it, maybe do like 60-40, 50-50 when it comes to running and passing, then you're doing a lot better. But if the defense shuts you down on running the ball, then you're going to be throwing the ball probably like 30, 40 times a game, and that's definitely going to take a toll on your arm. Anyways, I'm getting all sidetracked. So that was my prediction. So my prediction for the West, I already did that. So now I'm going to move to the AFC South. I think this division has the Texans written all over it. The only problem for Houston is I don't see them finishing as like a number 3 or a number 2 seed in the AFC, because I think the Chiefs are probably going to be one of the top 3 teams. The Bills are probably going to be another top 3 teams. And then the AFC North, which I'll talk about them in just a second, you're looking at the Ravens or possibly the Bengals. One of those 2 teams will get that division next year. I'd be very surprised if Pittsburgh did anything. I'd be very surprised if Cleveland did anything, because I still think they're suffering for that Deshaun Watson contract, which is going to nip them in the butt till the end of time. But for the AFC South, I think the Texans got the division. The next team that could be possibly push them out of a playoff spot or out of that number 1 spot, who would you go with? Do you think the Jaguars got it with I don't know. Like, the Jaguars were good for a couple of years, then they crapped the bed. I think they're going to be hurting for a little while. Yes, they do have Trevor Lawrence. He's a good quarterback, but I don't think he's like a top 10 quarterback in my opinion. And then you got, who was it, Quentin Richardson out of Indy. The guy was inconsistent last year. And then there was that whole thing about him. He had to run off the field because he was tired. And so fatigue definitely played a factor there. So I don't think the Colts are going to be competing this year. And then the other team that you could say would be the Titans. And I don't think the Titans are really the team to beat in the AFC South. I really don't. Like, they might be a good team. They did draft first overall, if I'm not mistaken. But I just don't see anybody really giving anybody. I don't think. It's just the Texans. I think that's the only team that can really come to mind. AFC South is not competitive at all. It's the Texans, in my opinion. Of course it is. Yeah. They got a great quarterback. They got a good young team, but I think it just sucks for them that I don't see them making it past the 4th seed in the AFC. I just don't. I really don't. So now we're getting into the AFC North. This is going to be a division that's going to be up for grabs. As long as the quarterbacks and Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow can stay healthy, then there'll be a fantastic duel. And I think one of those 2 teams will come out of that division. I said this just recently. I don't see the Steelers with a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers or 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers. He's not turning back time. He's not going to be the Aaron Rodgers from like 4 or 5 years ago when he won 2 MVPs back-to-back or whatever it was. He's on his last legs, and I just don't see him making much of an impact in the Steel City. I really don't. Yeah, they traded for was DK Metcalf from Seattle, but they have no past experience. I mean, even if you did have past experience, remember what happened with the Jets when they brought in Devontae Adams? They thought, oh my God, this is going to be our saving grace, and we're going to have Aaron Rodgers teaming up with his former wide receiver. That didn't add up to squat. So whether you have experience or don't have experience, it's going to be tough for the Steel City. I don't know. Like, they might make it over the 500 mark for like the 15th or 16th year in a row. It's a crazy thing to think that they've never been below 500 in the Mike Tomlin era. But I just think that this might be the year that they might go 7-10, 8-9. Like, I just don't see him. I don't see Rodgers being the savior of Pittsburgh. He's not like he's going to come in there and win them a championship. Yeah, I just don't. Comes off arrogant. It's an attitude problem and an age issue at this point. Exactly. So I've never really been a fan of Rodgers. I mean, if I had to cheer for a team in the NFC, it would have been maybe the Packers, because like it's locally owned and they don't have any other sporting teams in that area. I mean, they have Milwaukee, which is in the same state, but that's two different cities. But there's something about him, his attitude, I'm not a fan of. And even when they drafted Jordan Love, he hated that. He did not like being them when they drafted Jordan Love. But like, this is the thing with Green Bay is, and I'll get to them in just a minute. I know I'm getting sidetracked. I want to talk about the AFC North, but whenever Aaron Rodgers comes up, this is just like a whole big old topic for discussion. Is where was I going with this? It's just tough. Whatever bum Rodgers gonna shut you, and the rest of this haters down. Can't wait. All right, I hope he does. Let's see him do his thing. Just he hasn't done anything in one season and one game with New York, and his last season with Green Bay, he missed the playoffs. So we'll see if he can turn back the clock and come back. Fantastic, but I'm just going off with recent stats. So. So the Steel City, I don't know how I feel about them. Cleveland, they're going to be in the 4th spot of that AFC North. It's just way too crowded and too many good teams in that division. So I think Cleveland's going to finish 4th. I'll pick Steelers as the 3rd seed, and then I'll take the Ravens as the 1st seed, and I'll take the Bengals making the playoffs. I talked about this before. I guarantee both the Ravens and Bengals should make the playoffs. God forbid somebody gets injured or they just have a crappy losing streak, whatever it is. But I honestly do think that it's going to be the Ravens and Steelers for sure. 2 teams from the AFC North will make the playoffs this year. So that's one team. Let's get your division. 1 team in the wild card. For the AFC West, I said that the Kansas City Chiefs should probably get that division again, and the Chargers will likely finish as another wild card team. So there's 2 spots just right there. The AFC South, they've already done that. It's just going to be Houston. No other team from the South is going to make it. And then the AFC East, the Bills should get that division for the 6th year in a row. Miami might make a push, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So I think I've got like 6 teams for sure locked in for the playoffs. The 7th seed or whatever it is, I'm a little iffy about. Maybe Denver can get back in. That'd be good. I don't know how their schedule is going to pan out, how they're going to fare out in year 2. Miami would be another possible threat in that spot. And then if I had to pick a 3rd team out of the entire AFC to possibly finish as a 7th seed, well, I'm not picking the Jets. I'm not picking the Patriots. I'm not picking the Browns. I'm not picking the Raiders. So I mean, if there was a 3rd team to possibly make it interesting, who knows? Maybe Pittsburgh can do something, but I don't know. It's going to be tough. But I think 6 of those 6 teams for sure should make the playoffs. And then the 7th team, like I said, it can be a little iffy. We'll see about that. So now that the AFC's done, now let's focus on the NFC. So the strongest division in the NFC, I think, is going to be... It's either going to be the NFC North or the NFC East. I don't think any team from the NFC West is going to be the number 1 seed. And the NFC South are probably going to... The NFC South is basically like the AFC South. I think they're going to finish as like the 4th seed, whoever comes out of that division. Maybe it's Tampa Bay for like the 5th straight year or 4th straight year, whatever it is. I'm just trying to think who else can really make. I think I'd love to see Atlanta do something for the first time in a long time. They've been in rebuild forever, and the one thing that I'll never, and if you're a Falcons fan, you'll never forget this, is that infamous 28-3 lead you had in Super Bowl 51 against the Patriots. I was rooting so hard for them. I wanted them to win. I wanted the Patriots to lose. I was tired of seeing Brady get the championship, and they just could not close it out. They got basically shut out for the last quarter and a bit. It was unbelievable. So for now, I think Atlanta, they could be a threat for the NFC South with the Buccaneers. Other than that, I don't think the Saints are going to do a whole lot this year, and the Panthers, I'm still iffy on those. So like those 2 teams in the NFC South are likely going to finish 3rd and 4th overall. So I think it'll probably be either Tampa, Atlanta, first number 1 and 2, or it could be Atlanta and Tampa as 1 and 2. I love what Baker Mayfield is doing though, and the Bucs D is great. It is fantastic. Yeah, no, Tampa Bay is they're not a joke. There's a reason they've won that division 4 straight years in a row. 3 of them, two with Baker, and then I think 2 with when they had Tom Brady for the last 2 years of his thing. So they're going in as 4 straight NFC South champions, and I wouldn't be surprised. Tampa Bay is very good. Their defense, though, no question, is very good. and they could be. I like your point, man. Like they could be like the Broncos of the NFC. Like they're a very good team. I just think the journey that Baker Mayfield has been on, it's just been a wild ride. Started off being like this franchise quarterback for Cleveland. He was going to be the savior. Yes, he brought them into the playoffs back in 2020, 2021 when they knocked off their division rival, the Steelers. Unfortunately, they lost to the Chiefs in the second round, and they weren't able to get back on the thing since. And let me just put it this way. If I was a GM of a team and I had the option to either keep Baker Mayfield or trade for Deshaun Watson, I'd keep Baker Mayfield. The guy's proven he can be more consistent. And I've said this before, that Watson contract is going to haunt the Cleveland Browns until the end of time. Even if they pay him out, that's going to be years and years and millions of dollars that they're wasting on a person that they're not playing for, that's not playing for them anymore. So it's a shame that things didn't work out with for them. So anyway, I'm getting all sidetracked there. But yeah, so then Baker ended up getting traded from Cleveland to, I think, LA, and he played for the Rams for that part of the season. Then he ended up signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, it's been a hell of a journey for Baker Mayfield, but he's finally found a home in Tampa, and he's definitely their starting quarterback moving forward. So, I think either Tampa Bay or Atlanta comes out of that NFC South. I don't see two teams coming out of that division for the playoff spot because there's a lot of good teams in the NFC, especially the NFC North. I want to talk about them last, though. Okay, so the NFC East, the defending Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles, will likely finish as the number one seed, in my opinion, this upcoming season. They got a lot of good players and a lot of good people coming back. Yes, they did lose some players in free agency and blah, blah, blah. But with that being said, they got a good coach. They got a very good quarterback in Jalen Hurts, and that push-tush is always going to get them those third and short and fourth and short. They always seem to get those those first downs on those tush-push. So I think the Eagles are going to come out of the NFC East. After that, Washington will finish number two. I think they're going to finish ahead of Dallas. Even if Dallas has an above 500 season and Dak Prescott is healthy, I just think Washington, they're going to be a very they're a threat. There's no question about it. There's a reason they went to the NFC Championship just this past season. They're a very good teams. Jaden Daniels won Rookie of the Year, and he deserved every little bit of it. Like, he turned that franchise around in one season, and he's going to make this team very competitive for years to come. I'm so excited to see this guy star, or this star in a quarterback, and I can't wait to see what he does with this team moving forward. So I think it'll be Philly number one, Washington number two, Dallas three, and the New York Football Giants will finish fourth. And kind of fitting that the Giants, they got a quarterback carousel. I forgot all about all the signings. They have their draft pick, but then they also signed Jameis Winston, and then they signed Russell Wilson. So I don't know who their starting quarterback is going to be for week one. They'll probably have all four of those quarterbacks playing in the preseason, but I couldn't tell you who's going to be the number one guy. I personally don't have a favorite of any of those quarterbacks. I just think it's crazy how many QBs they really have. I know it's very important to bring in people in case someone gets hurt or someone gets scratched, whatever it is, you have someone else to rely on. But it's a bit of a gong show in New York, to say the least. So yeah, I got Philly, Washington, Dallas, and New York, and I think Philly and Washington will probably be the two teams out of the NFC East coming and making it into the playoffs. There's one wildcard spot taken just right there. The NFC West now. This division, in my opinion, is open for anybody at this point. I don't know if Arizona has what it takes to be the NFC West champions, but the Seahawks can do it. The 49ers can probably do it, even though they lost a lot of their people. And then the Rams as well. I think Jaden Daniels is already a top 10 quarterback, best rookie quarterback season I've ever seen. To turn around that whole team and go to the NFC Championship as a rookie is pretty crazy. Yeah, it's unreal. He had an amazing season, and I can't wait to see what he does in the sophomore season as well. So yeah, the NFC West. I don't know if I really have a dog in this one. I don't think I have a favorite when it comes to who I think is going to be the guy or the team of the NFC West. For the last 2 years, I would have said the 49ers because they went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They went to the NFC Championship 3 years ago. So they look like they're going to be a very good contending team, winning that division back-to-back years. But they've lost a lot of key pieces. So I don't know how much faith I have in the 49ers to finish as the number 1 seed in that division. They might squeak in as a playoff team, as like a wild card team, but I really don't know. Like, it's a totally different identity of this 49ers team in this 2025-26 season. Do you think San Fran turned around? They are scary, but they were scary. They are scary, but last year with injuries. See, injuries just killed them. And then, like, the one thing that drove me nuts with the 49ers was when Christian McCaffrey got hurt, or he was injured and he had surgery, whatever it was, and then they brought him back. When he missed a good chunk of that season, I remember I did a video with a friend of mine, and I kept saying they should just sit him. They should just sit him. They're not making the playoffs. They're already banged up as it is at other positions on that team. And then they brought him back, and then he got hurt again. That just crippled them right there. If you have a star running back and he is not ready to play by opening day, or let alone halfway through the season, just sit him. I'm sure it kills him that he lost. He's going to lose a year of his playing abilities. But if you get hurt after you just got hurt, you're not doing yourself any favors. So I'm sure McCaffrey will be good to go at the start of this upcoming season, but that just drove me bananas. I'm not a 49ers fan by any means, but when I saw that whole thing happen and he got hurt late in the season, I thought this was ridiculous. It'd be different if San Fran was competing for a playoff spot or a division title. Yes, you want to bring in all the star power you can get and all the help you can get. But when you're A, not making the playoffs, and B, you're forcing guys to come back from injuries to play and get hurt again, you're screwing yourself. You're shooting yourself in the foot. That's all you're doing. So I hope for San Fran's sake that they have a healthy roster going into this season, because if another key player gets hurt, this could be another wasted year for like Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle, whoever else they have on their team, whoever's left. I know Samuel's gone. I think he went to Washington, and then he's gonna be a big threat with Jaden Daniels right there. So San Fran, I'm on the fence. If they can be healthy, they can be possibly a number 2 seed. Maybe they can get the division, but when I look at the roster and all the changes that they've made, I'm a little iffy on them. If I had to make a prediction right now, I say they finish 3rd in that division, and I think either the Rams or Seahawks get that division. Sam Darnold's a very good quarterback. He took a very okay team in Minnesota and helped them get all the way to the wild card. Unfortunately, they lost to the Rams, but that was Minnesota. Sorry, I'm getting all distracted. But yeah, he took a very good Minnesota team last year, and he helped them. So, I mean, Sam Darnold is a good quarterback. Can he bring that same thing to Seattle? Maybe, possibly. Seattle is a good team. I'm not going to say anything about them. It came down to the last week of the season before they got eliminated, so they're a very good team. And the Rams, they made the playoffs. They got the win. They went to the divisional round against the Philadelphia Eagles, if I'm not mistaken. So they could get the NFC West as well. I would not be surprised in the least at all. So I honestly think maybe Seattle, or it's either going to be Seattle or in LA, in my opinion, that comes away with the NFC West. Maybe 2 of those teams make the playoffs. I don't know. But I think what's going to be a very strong division, and I wanted to say this until last, was the NFC North. You got the Detroit Lions, you got the Green Bay Packers, and the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the only thing I'm a little skeptical about with Minnesota is because they lost Sam Darnold, can J.J. McCarthy be their guy? Can he lead them and have just as good of a season this year as they did last year when they had Sam Darnold? I don't know. I haven't seen anything out of J.J. McCarthy since he got injured last year in their preseason. So he basically lost his rookie year. That was gone. I think he tore his Achilles or something. He did something that was season-ending in the preseason. So Minnesota, I'm a little iffy on. Chicago, I don't know. I just think there's just too many good teams in that division. Like I said, I firmly believe that Detroit, they're probably going to get that division crown again. Green Bay, they should get the number 2 spot, not the number 3 spot this year. I just have a lot more faith in Jordan Love, and they got a lot of experience, and Matt LaFleur is a fantastic coach. He's never had a bad season except in 2022 when I think they lost or 2023 when they lost. I think they went 8-9 that year, if I'm not mistaken. That was Aaron Rodgers last year as a quarterback there anyway. But I think that the Packers are going to be a team to be very competitive this year. There's no question about it. Minnesota, I'll pencil them in as the number 3 seed. I will. I don't know how much faith I have Now, maybe they can have a fantastic season. Maybe they can have a breakout season like they did last year. Maybe J.J. McCarthy is the answer, and he can lead them to 10, 11 wins this year. Who knows? Only one way to find out, and that's for us to have to sit and watch him play and see how he does. So just because I haven't seen anything out of J.J. McCarthy because he lost his season last year to injuries, I don't know if Minnesota's going to finish number 2. I sure don't think they're going to finish with 12 or 13 wins. Awesome, Marcus. Thanks a lot for tuning in, buddy. So yeah, I think it'll be for sure number 1 Detroit, number 2 Green Bay, number 3 Minnesota, and number 4 will be the Chicago Bears. So I think this is going to be a hell of a season, and I definitely see 2 teams coming out of that division of the NFC North. So therefore, that's 1 wildcard spot taken right there. The NFC East, I think 2 teams are coming out of that division as well, so that's 2 teams right there. The third is a little up for grabs. If Minnesota can be as good as they were last year, they can easily see themselves. I could easily see themselves getting into a wild card spot. But with that being said, if Dallas can stay healthy and they can have a good season out of Dak and company, then maybe Dallas can squeeze in as a wild card team. And then look at the NFC West. Maybe you get the Seahawks or the Rams or both those teams in the playoffs, and then that basically takes care of all your wild card spots. And if for some crazy reason only 1 team from the NFC West goes into the playoffs next year, then maybe you can make the debate that Atlanta and Tampa both get in next year. They're both very good teams. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see who comes out and who misses the playoffs. But I'll be the first to admit, like, I miss football more than any other sport off-season because it's the longest. It finishes in February. It doesn't really technically start until September. That's a big gap when it comes to off-season. So I'm definitely getting excited as the summer is here, and we're now in late June, early July. So yeah, only a couple more months, and we'll have some meaningful football on our TVs or tablets or whatever we decide to watch the games on. But my phone is going dead. I got a notification. I got 5%, so I better stop this live stream before I go completely dead and have no power at all. As always, for everyone that's tuned into this channel, if you're new here and you like this type of stuff, I do want to do live videos from time to time, but I will be uploading videos as more often than rather not. I did take a break for a little while, but I do want to get back into the hang of things, and hopefully we can, or I can start making up some more YouTube videos here pretty shortly. So anyway, as always, if you're new to this channel and you like any type of content that comes out of this, feel free to hit the subscribe button. I'd be really grateful and very appreciative as well. Until next time, and as always, take care.